Alien Romulus is the latest installment in the franchise that has been terrorizing humans since 1979. Seriously, those xenomorphs are older than I am. Over the decades, it's had its ups and downs, but overall, it is a well-regarded series of horror movies. The original Alien is still a classic today that holds up as one of the scariest movies ever made. To this day, I get freaked out if my cat stares behind me for more than a couple of seconds, convinced an alien is about to jump me. Aliens is also a timeless movie in the more action-adventure sci-fi end of the spectrum. Alien 3 and 4 may be slightly less loved by the general population, but I personally enjoy watching both of those. They may be less unique than the first two, but they each have their own qualities. Alien 3 was my favorite growing up. Yes, I watched those movies when I was a kid. Be angry at my parents if you want, I am not. And I am still a fan as an adult. The claustrophobic feeling David Fincher created, the way it was shot and edited, very deliberate in what it's choosing to show you or not show you. It's highly underrated and deserves more credit, in my opinion. Also, it's the only one Ripley actually gets laid in. You go, girl. Seriously, she deserves some happy times. I will skip over the Alien/Predator crossover movies because I honestly don't remember them much and I'm not going to rewatch those. I did revisit Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and I was very surprised to be reminded that Ridley Scott directed both of them, as I don't think you could find two as unequal movies in the franchise. Prometheus is just a mess of a story that doesn't make any sense. I would love to know what was left on the cutting room floor because I want to believe those amazing set pieces were at one point connected in a way that made sense, but the final product just had me raise my eyebrow more than Mr. Spock. None of the characters react to what is happening in any way that makes any sense, except for the one non-human character. I guess they may have realized that since he's the only one that came back for Covenant, and that movie is a million times better. Covenant actually feels like an alien movie. It looks like an alien movie. It's slow building, scary, has some great moments, the story is logical, and the female lead kicks ass. I would actually like to know what happens after Covenant. What did David end up doing with Daniel and Tennessee and the rest of the colonists? How did the engineer's ship end up on LV-426 with all the eggs inside? Can we get that movie next? So how does Romulus compare to all these other movies? Well, not too bad. It is a very competently made movie. The set design, cinematography and direction really stand out as top-notch. And this movie has some very effective jump scare moments. No, really, I physically jumped out of my seat screaming a couple times. I liked how they expanded on the universe, showing us life on that mining planet and how the company really treats everyone like crap. Side note, so at this point in time, 20 years after Ripley blew up the Nostromo, they know she was the sole survivor, and they know she blew the alien off into space, meaning they must have gotten her final transmission. They managed to not only find the wreckage of the Nostromo, but also the body of the alien floating in space. But it's still going to take them 37 years to find her? I mean, we know they are a-holes, but still, they could have looked for her a little bit harder, or at all. Anyways, back to the movie at hand. The overall story is easy to follow. There are a few science technobabble bits sprinkled in here and there, but nothing too convoluted. And the ticking time clock is clearly established in a way that's organic and makes sense. At the heart of it, you have a bunch of pretty likable and relatable characters who care for each other in ways that makes you give a shit about them. They have a clear goal, and I was really rooting for them to make it. I seriously can't compliment enough the competence that went into making this movie. Everything from the practical creatures, please keep using those, it makes all the difference, to the subtle lightning changes throughout the movie to match any given situation. It really elevates the story being told in ways that not all movies can claim to. Lightning rounds of random thoughts. Why did the boys have to crawl to get in the ships when they first get there? I know I'm nitpicking, and yes, the tight space makes it more uncomfortable and scarier, but we never come back to that. Was it ever explained why that airlock doesn't just open to a full corridor like the other ones do? Stop playing with the goo. Don't touch the goo. And more importantly, don't inject yourself with the goo. That could lead to you giving birth to an alien engineer hybrid monstrosity that will either try to nurse from you or suck your neck like a vampire. That was a little unclear. The zero-G sequence with Rain shooting up the aliens and then having her and Andy fly through the corridor avoiding the floating acid blood leftover was really unique and so tense I felt it in my bones. The alien catching Rain with its tail when she was falling down the elevator shaft was an interesting moment, but I'm not sure how I feel about it because of the way it catches her. It just scoops her up instead of impaling her like xenomorphs usually do. It's a cool visual and it gives that specific alien some character development. I almost wish there was more to it. But at last, I don't think we are ever given a reason as to why it was nice to her in that moment.
Mwah.
Andy's saving Rain and delivering the famous line was corny and dumb, and I loved it. It got a few cheers in the theater I was in, and I was one of the ones cheering. It was a fun collective catharsis, and you should try it sometime. In conclusion, it may not break any new creative frontiers in the sci-fi horror genre, but Alien Romulus is a very effective movie with a solid story, relatable characters, and very cool visual sequences that is definitely worth seeing in theaters. Please like and subscribe if you want some more content. Okay, bye!